Hi, my name is Jack Munn, and I'm here with my grandfather Robert Munn to interview him about his experience during World War II. First, what struggles did you face growing up through the Great Depression?
Would you repeat that question, please?
Yes. What struggles did you face growing up in the Great Depression?
Well, as a youngster, I was probably not aware that I had any problems. My father was the one who faced all the problems. He and all the rest of the men in our village had to worry about the business. He had a jewelry store, and he had to worry about the business. I didn't. As a youngster, I was in school, and I didn't know what a depression meant until somebody said, well, we're running out of money or something like that. So I just went about my business and tried to get good marks or stay in school.
Mm-hmm.
But the big problems were with the grown-ups who were paying my education in a parochial school. Okay?
After this time, what caused you to join the Army at a young age?
Well, I was drafted during World War II, as in World War I, and draft was how they filled the needs of the military. And you knew you were going to be drafted, so we just waited. And after I finished my first year in college, that's when I was picked up and was drafted. And I got in a semester of college before I was drafted in February of 1943. Yes, 43. And that's how I got in the Army. And most of us went in that way, drafted.
How did you feel about this?
Well, everybody else was doing it, so I was ready to go.
You flew in a B-17 plane,
B-17, yes.
and this was shot down. What was that experience like?
Well, it was, let's say that my heart was going bang, 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 because you don't know whether you're going to be killed or what. It's a scary thing, but in any case, I found that the condition was such that
Keep going.
the condition was such that it was scary because the airplane was on fire, and you knew that you had to get out of the airplane if you're going to live. And well, as a matter of fact, I remember now, as my chute opened and I was settled in the parachute, or in other words, it was deployed, and I'm floating down to earth, I looked behind and saw the airplane blow up, which means that I got out of it probably within 15 or 20 seconds before it blew up. That should give you an idea.
Yeah. Did anyone die during this?
Well, we don't know for sure, but we think that one of the gunners was left in the airplane. We think he may have been hit during the attack by the Messerschmitt, but we never saw him again.
How many missions did you have?
That was on my 4th mission, and we were going for, well, I think 35 at that time. It started out to where you had to do 25, but then as things got moving along, they upped it another 10 missions. So I had a long ways to go.
When you hit the ground, how'd you get found, or who found you?
Well, there was somebody waiting for me. There was a fellow on a horse, and he didn't have to ride very far. He knew pretty much where I was going to land. He was waiting there for me, and he leveled a pistol at me. Well, I decided that I wasn't going to combat this guy because he had a gun and I didn't.
After you were captured, where were you taken?
Well, the first place we were taken was I forget what they called it now, but it was a place where they asked questions and hoped to get information out of you. And but that didn't take, by the time that I was shot down, they didn't want to waste too much time asking questions. They had to make room for the next guy.
Where were you shot down? When? Were you
When?
shot down?
Well, that was on the 12th of September, 1944.
And whereabouts were you?
Well, let's see. I was in probably what is now Czechoslovakia or Austria. I can't remember for sure, but I was, well, it may have been in Germany. I can't remember, too far back. But I think it was, well, I went to Berlin after I was captured, so that means I was up in North Germany. And the camp we were heading to was in South Germany. So that's about all I can tell you in that question.
Go ahead. Sally Bluth 1, wasn't that of the Baltics?
Well, the Berlin is fairly close to the Baltic.
But didn't you say you ended up down south? Didn't you end up in the north?
Yeah,
near the Baltics?
our permanent camp was up in the north. In other words, the interrogation center was down in the south, and after that was all done, then they shipped us all to the Barth, which was on the Baltic, which was back north again. And again, a train ride, which we were in some danger during the train ride because any train was a legitimate target for the Allied airplanes. We could have been strafed by Allied aircraft. What's that? I can't read it.
What was it like in the prison camp during the winter?
Well, contrary to what a lot of people thought at that time, it was not as cold as you might think. If you were to look at the camp as to where it was, you'd say, oh, they're going to be cold. Well, it was pretty far north, but the Gulf Stream ended up in the bay that surrounded the prison camp, which gave us quite a bit of warmth. Now, we had a stove in our room that kept us warm, and it was very adequate. I don't recall ever being miserably cold because the stove had plenty of coal. There were bricks. They're bricks made of coal dust, and we had plenty of those things, so that we stayed pretty warm.
How many people did you live with?
Well, it varied, but the particular room I was in, I think probably had, I'm going to guess and say 12 or 13 people. And it wasn't very big. I mean, it was about the size of this, a little bigger than this room, and they had triple bunks. And so you can see, you could put quite a few people in a room this size using triple bunks. 1, 2, 3, yeah. So, not bad.
During this time, what did you do for food?
What's that?
During this time, what did you do for food?
Well, the Germans gave us meat. It was, I'm trying to think, it's quite a few years ago, but The food was, like Hamburg. And potatoes. Now, we think, we never knew for sure, but we think that the meat was dog food, but we can't be sure. I mean, it was good.
You were hungry.
Well, we were always hungry. The Germans gave us potatoes and carrots sometimes, and we didn't have meat all the time, but we always had potatoes. In fact, most of our food was just potatoes. Mm-hmm. Every now and then we'd get some meat, but we don't know whether it was dog food, fish food, cat food, or whatever it was. But we didn't mind. It was good.
During your time at the prison camp, what was your everyday life like?
Well, fortunately, we had quite a few books, and they were, they weren't best readers, but anything like that. But they were novels, and some of them were old-time favorites that I'd heard about and never had a chance to read years before. So I caught up on a lot of reading, and that was our main thing to do, because we had nothing else to do. We were officers, which means the Germans didn't think that we should be working as the enlisted men would be. Now, we had enlisted men, American enlisted people, but they worked for us. They cleaned up, they did all this, these little things that we would have had to do ourselves. They liked that. They thought that was a pretty good job to have if they were American enlisted people. Okay. About all I can answer about that.
Were you scared?
Well, at that point we got over scary. The time for scariness was when you're being shot down.
Yeah.
After the bullets stop flying, you don't worry too much about being shot. However, if you didn't do as you were told, well then they could shoot you.
How long were you in the prison camp?
From September 12th of 1944 until the war was over, May 8th in the following year, 1945.
When you did return to the United States, where did you go?
Well, we went to a place in New Jersey, and all we did was just go through the usual process of being discharged from the service. It didn't take more than a few days.
When you were in good health, did you return home after this time in New Jersey?
Yeah, after we were discharged, we went home and spent, I think I was home a month. Then I had to go back to New Jersey again, a different place in New Jersey, and go through the discharge process. Let's see, what do you got there?
This is a telegram from
Oh.
the War Department.
Yeah. Let's see, the telegram says, telegram from War Department, safe, my love.
Bob is safe.
That's to
That was
John
from Al.
Munn.
That was from Alice to John.
Well, it was, yeah. Well.
So what was that? That was somebody telling somebody else that you were safe.
Well, yeah, I may have sent that. Do I sign it?
It says from Alice.
Oh, okay. Alice got either a telephone or and she was sending that to John.
Who was also in the Army.
He was in the Army at the time, yeah.
And John was your brother?
Yes.
When you returned home, did you work? What'd you do for money?
Well, see, I returned home in May, and I went back to college in the fall, in September. And that would have been in September of 1945. Yeah,
And where were you?
in Saranac Lake,
Where'd you go to college?
Dartmouth, which is New Hampshire.
Okay.
Well, you got more now?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
And then,
Oh, we have a little bit more. Go ahead.
And then he ran into this lady over here.
and right,
Go ahead. Mom, why don't you finish it up? Now you know the rest of the story.
well,
Tell the rest of the story.
well, that's not much to tell other than
Other than 1946
we got married,
and
had 11 children.
I guess.
And one of them was born while we were at Dartmouth.
Oh, okay.
Maureen, the old-
The first one.
How many grandkids are there?
36.
How many great grandkids?
Well, we're I think 28, but 29. I'm not sure. They're increasing all the time. Yeah,
Thank you both.
you're welcome.